Hi there, Ozgenur. So, my name is Ellen, and I will be correcting this essay for you, this set of essays today. Let's take a look. You've sent us the International Marketing Essay, so let's see what you said here. The marketing area has always been a recognizable impact on all the countries around the world. According to some individuals, worldwide merchandise is offensive and eruption into the country. In contrast, others believe it is an essential and financial form of education to extend thoughts and language and culture. However, I agree with those who say that it is a great opportunity and beneficial in many ways. Okay, so you have the right idea here. Okay, you've rephrased the topic and you've very clearly given us your position. So those are two really important elements of your introduction. Where the introduction comes into some problems is with grammar and vocabulary. Primarily vocabulary. So let me show you what I mean. Marketing area, recognizable impact, worldwide merchandise, eruption. This isn't a word, by the way. Let's see. And then this financial form of education. These are either, well, no, they're just inappropriate words here. So, while I appreciate what you were trying to do, it definitely feels like your vocabulary didn't quite get across what you wanted it to get. Okay. Also, you want to be careful when we say rephrase the topic. We don't mean just change some of the words around, but essentially keep the same structure of the sentence from the prompt. You do have to do a little more than that, okay? You have to essentially provide your own language, and that means both vocabulary and grammar, the syntax, the order of the sentence, the order of the words. So it just has to be a new sentence. So I felt like a lot of this was just too close, and you just essentially changed some words around. So you do have to do more than that, okay? You could have done something like international marketing has been found to have a clear impact around the world. According to some individuals, however, it is offensive and can disrupt the country's culture. In contrast, others believe it is an essential and inexpensive form of education, full stop. Okay. And so I changed it around to make the vocabulary more appropriate. I still left the sentence structure more or less the way you had it, but I just want to give you an idea of what this could be. Okay. Let's move on. Regarding those who hold that both imports and exports can be beneficial to the education's economic ways, this is awkward. You can't say that education's economic ways, and that's not what they mean. I'll explain it to you. There are many reasons. One supportive claim is that the culture and language can be spread with these transports. For instance, we purchased seaweeds to consume sushi initially based in Asia and learn their language to do business with them. Okay. I want to point out to you that this essay is not about international trade. Okay, so when you talk about imports and exports, and you talk about purchasing seaweed, which is usually single, by the way, you're talking about international trade. You're not talking about international marketing. Now, while they both fall under the umbrella of globalization, they are not the same thing. So you have to really be careful with this. So an examiner would look at this and say that it's not entirely on topic. Okay, so that's something I want you to be aware of. Like I said, it's not entirely on topic. It's close, but it's not quite right. Okay, and so that's going to affect your task achievement score. Another thing that's going to affect your task achievement score is the length of this paragraph. If you look at it, it's actually shorter than your introduction. It's about half the length of the other paragraph, which is not so great. If you look at the band descriptors under band 6, you'll see it says cover all parts of the task, but some parts may be covered more than others. Take a look at it. It's under band 6. And that's pretty much what's happening here. Okay, you've spent just about 4 lines on this side of the issue, but hold on. But twice as much, at least, on the other side of the issue. Now, I'm noticing another problem here. Up here, you said you agree with those who say it's a great opportunity. And now, just looking at this, I see you say, I firmly believe international marketing can be detrimental to the country, and there are many reasons. This is the exact opposite of what you said here. So that's very confusing. And that 100% is going to affect your task achievement score. Okay? Because we started your essay thinking that you were going to talk about one side and you were going to support one side, and then all the way, like in the middle of the essay, you're supporting something totally different. So that's confusing. All right, let's take a look. The obvious one is that governments should not depend on other regions to purchase items needed in their lands. They should process them by themselves. More specifically, when the attachment to other countries rises, it will more likely become financially unstable. Furthermore, in some cases like war, it will be unavoidable not to lose many products provided by other countries. In fact, the world is getting affected by the war between Russia and Ukraine, and it is bringing diminishing problems. That's a wrong word here, not diminishing. Like lack of grain and oil to other regions that market their products from these countries. No, market is the wrong word here. So again, what you're talking about here is trade, and you're not talking about marketing, which is something totally different. So if you're not sure what international marketing is, definitely look it up, see what is meant by international marketing, and you'll understand how it's different from trade. Okay, so in sum, I maintain that global trade, there's that word, yep, should not be encouraged because it is trespassing and disadvantageous to me. That's not, no, not to me. It's disadvantageous, full stop. In the future, I sincerely wish that countries, no, I sincerely hope, not wish, because that has a totally different grammatical structure. I sincerely hope that countries will be able to manufacture their people's needs and no imports will be necessary. No, you don't manufacture someone's needs. You manufacture products to fulfill people's needs. Okay, because this is as if you're saying that they will make people's needs. We don't want to make the needs. We want to make the products that fulfill them. Okay, so careful there. All right, so you should have a pretty good idea about where you stand with this essay. There were some good elements. I saw some nice grammar. I saw that you were able to structure it appropriately, more or less. But there were some problems, definitely with task achievement. For sure, that was probably the biggest problem. And then I also saw problems with vocabulary. Those need to be addressed as well. So be careful with those. Now, I know you sent us a task 1, so let's go straight into that. We have your task 1 chart about food consumption. Let's see what you wrote here. The pie chart demonstrates the types of sustenance consumption in the world in 2014 overall, while most of the food was taken from animal products like meat and fish. Okay. Cereals, fruits, and vegetables followed them. However, bread and rice had a noticeably minuscule percentage and took the lowest place. Bread and rice. Rice and bread. Okay, fine. Let's see what you said after that. To begin with, not the meat, but just meat. Meat had a markedly sizable percentage with 31.4%, whereas fish followed it in second place at 27.9%. In addition, merely 11.7% of the population chose breakfast cereals. Well, that's not entirely what they mean. Careful with that. Cereals isn't just for breakfast. It's like a category of food. So don't just refer to it as breakfast. Just you could have said chose cereals. Let's see. Hold on. In addition, merely 11.7% of the population chose cereals. Full stop. You don't want to say in the graph. Nevertheless, fruits took a nearly similar percentage as vegetables with 10.6, while vegetables had 0.5 lower than it. Okay. Okay, you're basically just going down the row. So you started with meat, you went to fish, then you talked about cereals, and now you're talking about fruits and vegetables. Okay, fine. So probably in all likelihood, you're going to end up talking about the last 2 in the next paragraph. Let's see. Furthermore, individuals worldwide hardly ever decided to eat bread and rice in 2014, with 5.5% and 2.5%. In some, various food categories were eaten all over the globe in 2014. Some of them, such as meat and fish, were substantially the most popular ones in the graph, while the products used to make salads, like fruits and vegetables, were in the middle proportion with cereals. At last, or rather lastly, not at last, lastly, bread and rice were the least options. Okay. All right. So I liked a lot of this. I liked a lot of your grammar. Yeah, there were some mistakes, but you had the right general idea. Where I feel like you came into some problems was with this paragraph here. And the reason is that you had an overview here, okay? And then you threw all of your detail here and where was it? Yeah, here and here. Take a look at this. So look what you did. You had your overview here, which took up like most of this paragraph, right? And then your details were limited. I don't know why I can't highlight this. There we go. Your details were highlighted to just this. And then this again was like a rehashing of what you did here. It was like a summary. And so what you ended up repeating a lot of information. What you needed to do was something rather different. I would have kept this out. I would have gotten rid of this entirely. And instead, what you should have done is you should have really extended this. And there are a lot of ways to do this. Okay. So let's see. So with these two, you're over 50% of the chart. Okay. So maybe what you could have done is you could have just focused on these two in one paragraph. Okay. And then you could have focused on the rest of them in another paragraph. So let me show you what I mean. To begin with, the greatest percentage of food consumed around the world in 2014 was meat, with just under 1/3 of the pie. It was followed by fish with 27.9%. Together, these two categories of food accounted for 50, almost 60% of the graph. Almost. Okay, if you do the math here. So together, these two categories of food accounted for almost 60% of food consumption. Okay, then I would go. So do you see what I did? I did this, and then I used some math. I said, well, this was, et cetera, less. And then I told you together what these make up. So it gives you kind of like a better way of kind of envisioning this. And then I would probably put the rest of them in a different paragraph. Let me show you why. The next three categories of food were all approximately around 10% each. Or you could do it differently. The next three categories of food together made up approximately 1/3 of food consumption. More specifically, cereals was the third most popular food consumed at 11.7%. It was followed by 1% less each by vegetables and fruits. Okay? Then you can say the least consumed food worldwide was rice at only 2.5%. And then you could say that this was just 1/5 of the previous categories. Okay? And then you can say something like bread was just double the figure of rice. Okay, so what you're essentially doing is you're using a little math, you're using some new vocabulary to make it interesting, and you're just kind of showing how these things all connect to each other. That's the really important thing when you're doing something like this, where there's just one chart and you've got, what did you have here? You had like 7 pieces of information. So what you really need to do when you have something like this is you need to show how things relate to each other and show kind of comparisons. Like, I think one thing that would have been interesting is you could have said something like, when you talked about rice, you could have said, when 2.5, that it's like 1/15 of the figure of meat. Okay. Or you could have said that it was just like half of the figure of bread, or like I said here, 1/5 the figure of vegetables. You could have done comparisons like that. All right. So that's my suggestion for you here. In general, I think you're on the right track, but I just think it needs to be tweaked a little bit so you can score better. Okay, so that's pretty much the end of this correction. I hope you found it helpful. I would love to continue working and giving you more feedback on your essay writing and your task one. So see if you'd like to continue working with us. You'll get an email with links to various different ways you can work with us. See what works for you best. I would like to help you progress. Okay, so hopefully we'll continue working together. I look forward to it. So thanks for sending this in, and good luck to you.